The system is designed so you can't tell when you need guardrails. And that's not a story of personal failing or not communicating well enough. That's a systems design issue. Except like a systems design issue if the system was evil and the design of the system is evil. So I guess both of them are evil. Anyway, the outcome-based goals, what I'm saying, rarely produce bad results out in the open with transparency for everyone to inspect and adapt. It's more normal that they produce these problems invisibly and in places that you're not looking.
Yes, and see what I did there?
Oh, it's too early. Right?
Too early, yeah. So by the time the damage shows up, nobody remembers the OKR that started it all, or the management that installed these OKRs. And what about the people who can actually see that damage coming?
Oh boy, people who can spot it and speak up first. Those are the people you're asking me about? Okay, well, they're the ones that the system is built to remove. Because remember, these are not bugs. These are features of the system.
Oh boy, what a great time to be alive, eh?
Welcome back to Arguing Agile. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm your host, Product Manager Brian Orlando, and this is my co-host, Enterprise Business Agility Consultant and the Rocket Man of ROI, Mr. Om Patel.
Rocket Man. All right. So if you're here, do please make sure you like and subscribe.
That's right. Let's see. Today is part 2 of the series, How Outcome-Based Goals Can Go Wrong and What You Can Do About It. And if I'm right with my side, my chosen side of the argument today, it's because of the goal fixation that we talked about in part 1 that the trap is almost always invisible. And then, I think the question the question isn't how do I add better guardrails, which was, by the way, our suggestion at the end of the last episode, which is Arguing Agile, the outcome trap when hitting your numbers leads to evil, part 1. See, I said part 1 because I didn't know how many parts were going to be in there. Like part 1 of 8.
You never know, right?
So the question then becomes, how do you see anything at all from inside the trap? See anything at all from inside the trap?
So you're in the vortex, right? It's hard to see.
Yeah.
Because things are swirling around you at high speed.
So that's what we're going to argue today. The damage shows up. You're not looking. The people who notice it first get removed, and then every team's dashboard stays green while the business slowly dies around you. And Deming detailed all of this in the mid-'80s, years before OKRs and whatever other buy-my-book system existed, and we're going to talk about why everyone just ignored him.
Yeah, unfortunately, Deming didn't really sort of prevail, I guess, after his time. So, yeah, this is going to be a good one today.
That's right. No matter what you heard in Lord of the Rings, Deming prevails. That's a mythical story that I want to believe. So you're going to walk away from this episode. You'll be able to spot when an outcome target is producing the opposite of what it promises before the damage compounds. Part 1 covered the mechanics. This one is going to be about why you can't see the trap from inside of it.
This is a segment where that assumption, part 1, falls apart.
Part 1 of this series assumed you could see the damage and then add guardrails, and that's what we talked about at the end of part 1. So in this segment, that's where we're going to talk about where that assumption falls apart. So picking immediately up from the end of part 1, the damage from your Q1 OKR doesn't show up until Q3 at the earliest, and it doesn't show up on your dashboard. It probably shows up on someone else's dashboard in a different department and some kind of different timeline completely.
That's just how complex systems work. Outcome-based planning pretends they don't. So just to kind of cap on the last podcast, the recommendations we had are still valid, assuming you can see things through it, right? And this podcast is saying, what if you can't?
Right.
Do then, right? So if you haven't watched the first part, we recommend you do that. Although this one is equally as good, we think.
Yeah.
We might be biased.
Listen, we might be biased. That was the original title of the podcast, but for reasons unknown, like we didn't go with that. I don't know why. Man. Let's talk about the citations that we're using in this section. So Goodhart, 1975, you're going to hear Goodhart's Law, right? The problems of monetary management. Peter Senge and the Fifth Discipline. And there's some other studies that we look through. But Senge has a great quote down here: cause and effect are not closely related in time and space.
One of my favorite authors, I have to say. The book is great. He has a companion workbook as well. So if you really want to deep dive, get the book, get the workbook, and go through it. Trust me, it'll be worth your while.
Get the coloring book. That's what I heard out of that one.
Coloring book, yes.
Oh, boy.
But don't color between the lines.
I mean, listen, if you're talking about coloring between the lines, we're going to go straight into the Steelman. And we've broken up the Steelman into 3 parts. Oh, we should probably talk about Goodhart's law. Let's.
That's a good idea, I think.
So Goodhart's law states that when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Coined by economist Charles Goodhart, it applies that optimizing for a specific metric causes people to manipulate it, destroying its value as an indicator of performance. It highlights that metrics are signals, not the objective truth themselves. So there you go. That was 1975 Goodhart? Yeah, the problems of monetary management. I will tell you the cornerstone on which this podcast is built on is Goodhart's law. It really is. And I've seen a lot of people over my career play games with numbers. You know what? I think of an easy number to game right off the top of my head, because I used to be earlier in my career. I worked in QA, and in QA you get escalations from the business in terms of support tickets. And quick and easy way is to say, well, I'm combining your support ticket with another support ticket. Then you just close that ticket that's been open past your SLAs or whatever. You combine the notes with another. But like on paper, it looks like your hero. You close.
Yes, yeah, exactly. The same thing happens in service management as well, right? Where people do exactly that and play games and improve their MTTRs, or mean time to resolution.
If only we knew what a service manager did. If only there was a service manager who could help us figure out what they did.
Good for you, Brian.
Oh, it's funny though. It's funny. But yeah, the Goodhart's law. So I feel it's going to do a lot of work when we're talking about these. When we're talking about these Steelman points, hey, listen, that like the why are these not? Okay. I really in the agenda I removed them and changed them, not in the slides. I didn't fix them.
We were just going to talk to the same sequence as the agenda.
All right, I'm sorry. Yeah, so in the Steelman here, probably the strongest pushback here is, listen, some second order effects genuinely are unforeseen, and there's no way we could foresee all the issues that could happen, right? So like. That doesn't mean that outcome-based goals are responsible for all the evil in the world, Brian. Like you're going too far with this, right? But they'll say, but I will agree with you. It makes the damage harder to attribute to that goal, right. And that's true. The issue I have with someone saying that, like the issue I have is if someone was saying that in earnest of, listen, we try to do everything we can, but we can't, we can't predict everything in the world. That would be one thing. But usually it's not done earnestly like that.
Yeah.
Usually it's, how dare you? And there's no evidence, and I dare you can't prove it, and get out of my office.
Yeah. All of these simple sort of theses work great until you add people.
That's right.
People will manipulate these things to their advantage and other people's disadvantage. So yeah, I absolutely agree with that. This is why leading indicators, dashboards, and cross-functional reviews exist, right? So without numerical management, we're saying executives have no role because they have nothing to hang their hat on.
That's a problem. Like that tells me another problem's happening in the business. Goodhart's law just went right over my head and is like, "Are you telling me you don't know what your job is, Mr. and Mrs. Executive?" Like that, so the Steelman points. If I'm going to boil back down the Steelman points, like the most cynical point here. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to spend too much time on this, but also it needs to be explained. The cynical point is I don't really want to refute you or think critically. I'm just going to fire off the most cynical viewpoint. To get over it, like you don't live in the real world. It'll be without numerical management. You might as well not even have executives, or without numerical management, our employees are going to take advantage of us. That's the cynical side of this argument, and also the bad faith side of the argument. Because again, I didn't reference any data. I didn't really I didn't dig for that. I just kind of from the hip and threw it out there. But the other better ones here are, listen, Goodhart's law is it's a little bit one-sided, the law itself, because you can design a metric very well and avoid negative consequences. Like we're smart people.
Right.
Google uses the OKRs. We can think through all the negative consequences and take care of them. So that'd be the academic viewpoint. And by academic viewpoint, if you notice in my voice that I'm saying academic viewpoint, meaning the people that don't actually live in this world, they just say, you can buy my book.
Theoreticians, basically.
Right. Yeah. Then I agree with you. Theoretically, it's possible. Never seen anyone do it, but yeah, theoretically, it's possible. Sure. But most people are here in the middle. Most people are here in the practitioner category. They listen. Just do better measurement. Instruct better.
Be more objective. Yeah, exactly.
Better project plans. Better project plans. Track
leading and lagging indicators. Yeah.
We need more metrics. That's what we need.
So we can get lost in the numbers.
The main pushback to that last one that I just threw out. So your answer to, we have a bunch of bad indicators that are leading to this Goodhart law, and everyone's kind of out there destroying the business by chasing their own goals. The way you're saying we should take care of that is more numbers.
That's right. So you can really get obtuse about these things.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Yeah, crazy.
Got it. Yeah,
right?
get out of my office.
I know.
I'm done with you.
I know. But look, this is the reality in a lot of organizations now.
I agree. Yes.
And, we're talking to those people that are now coming out brand newly minted MBAs. Like, yeah, just have more measures, more metrics, more. More is better.
We've just not planned for every contingency. That's what the problem is.
Right. If only we knew. To which my answer is, just make a list of them all.
Sure.
If you can.
Sure. We'll just listen before let's call it we'll list every potential thing that could go wrong, and we'll solve for all of them before we begin.
And we'll be live in 2048.
Maybe we'll be in a big room when we do it. This is a great category.
I like this category.
When someone says we just need better leading indicators, what they actually mean is we need more surfaces for which Goodhart's law applies to.
Deflection surfaces.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. Yeah, absolutely. So how's that going to help the organization? It might help you as a leader or manager, perhaps, right, in one facet of the company. It's not going to help the overall organization. You're still going to be passing the buck across one another, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're going to be like this.
Right. Yeah.
The hole's on their side of the boat. And that really doesn't help anybody.
Senge's third law of systems thinking explains why retros don't catch this. Behavior grows better before it grows worse. Senge's third law is detailed in the fifth discipline. Behavior grows better before it grows worse. The law highlights the danger of low leverage interventions or quick fixes, which makes a problem look like it's been solved in the short term, only for it to return in a more severe form later.
This is just papering over the problem, really, right? You're not really fixing anything.
I got to tell you,
just papering over it and say, hey, look, I can't see it now. So it's gone away, but it hasn't really gone away.
This is every dev shop I've ever worked in.
Absolutely.
We could fix it the right way, or we could just fix it and have it up and running. Hey.
We have to meet a deadline, Brian. So, that be damned.
That's right. Just get it done. God. Just get it done. Quick, somebody, don't tell the vibe coding kids about the Peter Senge. Let them reinvent Peter Senge one law at a time and let them feel like they discovered it. Listen, this is one of the most wild things of being on tech Twitter with all these 20-year-olds thinking that nobody's ever done software development before they discovered LLMs. It's a wild place to be home. Yeah,
it is.
I almost want to start capturing tweets that I think are just disconnected from reality. Whatever X is called. I don't know what they're called. They should be called X's. Listen, Elon Musk is missing out on a gold mine. They should be called X's.
That would be good, because you can then divorce off of them.
He could double down on tic-tac-toes. It would have been great design. He's not going to do it, but you never know. Sometimes you tweet Elon Musk and he's on the toilet firing back. You never know with that guy.
But the interesting thing is that there's some of the stuff that the fundamental truth, if you want to put it that way, Senge came up with this in 1990.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago, right? And even today, those laws hold true. At least in my opinion, they do. But yes, bring on the vibe coders, and they're going to just say, look, we don't need to do all of that stuff. We'll just have more. Keep spraying things at the wall, and hopefully something will stick. Yeah, good luck with that.
I mean, the difference is they're not just spraying things at the wall. They're also paying for the tokens. So there's that.
Their companies are paying at least,
and compute.
Right.
It's all fun and games until someone's got to pay the AWS bill at the end of the day. I love saying at the end of the day. I hate that phrase, but I love saying it, just sassily saying it. So speaking of being sassy, there are some takeaways here in this category, in case you didn't think, in case you thought it was just a 20-minute rant fest. First of all, you're right. But second of all, you can stop treating OKR green dashboards as success or finished metrics. And you can start treating them as the moment that you start looking for damage in other places. So you hit all your numbers home. Cool. What did this cause? How could or is this going wrong in other parts of the business? The product management side of this is super easy to point out, because I was at a place one time where the product folks were really empowered to come up with and drive new features. But usually what their customers would ask them for would be something off of some other roadmap from another product inside the company. So what you ended up with is a bunch of product managers just cannibalizing each other's product lines. You're right, but their numbers look great.
Individually, I'm sure they look great.
All the numbers at that company were measured by, adoption metrics and all these things that if you look at Google and you look at how all the industry leading guys are doing it like this. But really, they weren't growing anything. They were just cannibalizing from other products inside the company.
We may have a parallel to this example later in the podcast about companies that did that, right? And didn't really live to tell the tale, so to speak.
So in this case, for each outcome goal, go ahead and ask, if we hit this, what could go wrong in a different department 6 months from now? Or, if it is a couple months from now, what is going wrong? Yeah.
This requires collaboration across the board,
Sure.
right? Yeah. And that's a fundamental ask.
Yes, yeah, it sure is. And then number 2, what metric are we not tracking that would surface a side effect of this thing? So you're basically inspecting someone saying that their OKR is successful, and you're asking a couple questions here. And then the last one is, have we set a 90-day reminder to check the metrics that are not on the dashboard related to this goal? So Siri, set a reminder. That's what I'm saying. So what do you think? Have you ever traced a problem back to a successful initiative from months earlier? Let us know in the comments, name an OKR, and tell us what broke. Now, if second order effects are invisible to dashboards, the only early warning system that you have left in your organization is people. So someone notices that the metrics don't match reality and someone raises their hand. In outcome-driven organizations, they systematically destroy people like that. Okay, and that's not a bug. That is a structural feature.
Oh boy, yeah, absolutely.
Oh boy, is right. I have a ton of citations that we can go into. I think the main one, because I think it overlaps with a previous podcast that we did, was the Wells Fargo whistleblower, Bill Botto. The story of Bill Botto. The story of Bilbo Botto. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Bill Botto.
Sorry, Bilbo Botto. Here, let's.
Bilbo or no?
No, that's
it's Bill Botto.
I did Bilbo. Yeah, but
I know
it is funny.
It's BB.
So Bill Botto, he went to Mount Doom to throw the ring into. Wait a minute, what am I talking about? What are we talking about on the podcast today? In the article we're reading from blowthewhistle.com, which is, I think I think it's probably just a law firm that practices a lot of whistleblower cases. We covered the Wells Fargo example in part 1.
Yeah.
For what they did, and they got fined for it, right? So this is not something that we're just like randomly throwing on the internet. Sure. Whoa, this is taking up the whole screen? How did I do that? Anyway, whatever. It's taking up the whole screen. So it says another banker. You know what? That's not cool. I don't want it to take up the whole screen. See our wonderful faces somewhere on the screen. Thank you very much. All right. So it says another banker, Bill Botto, was also fired in 2013 after he sent an email to Wells Fargo representatives voicing his concerns about the unauthorized accounts that were being opened. So again, in part 1, we covered that Wells Fargo had some sort of incentive plan about the number of accounts that they opened, new accounts that they opened, and then the agents were opening accounts that were, on people's behalf without them knowing, and other things that may have questionably been legal that Wells Fargo, I think they got fined for, but it's like monopoly money. When banks get fined, they get fined. They make $3 billion on it and get fined for $128 after passing go, so, or something, or so I'm told. So Bill Botto called the ethics hotline to report fraudulent activity that he was being instructed to engage in, only to find that actually using the internal ethics procedures created by the bank would result in him losing his job. Botto told CNN, "They ruined my life." The reason the bank gave for Botto's firing was, quote, tardiness. And that termination came only 8 days after he called the ethics hotline.
To me, this sounds like retaliatory behavior. which is not legal in the U.S.
It's not.
But I'm sure the internal investigation the bank did came up with absolutely nothing.
Catch me if you can. All right, so that was one. That was the epic of Bildo. But wait, Bilbado. What an unfortunate name for the podcast, right? I'm having such a struggle right now. There was a bunch of other ones that I'm not. That the Francis Haugen testimony from the U.S. Senate.
Did we talk about Francis Haugen on a different podcast?
I think we left it out of.
That last bullet is worth highlighting, though. Just the numbers and the trend that it suggests, right? The Business Ethics Survey found that 46% of the employees who reported misconduct suffered from some sort of retaliatory kickback like that, which went up from before, from 15% to 46, a threefold increase right there.
Yeah. Francis Haugen, starting in September 2021, the Wall Street Journal published the Facebook Files, a series of news reports based on a review of internal Facebook documents, including research reports, online employee discussions and drafts, and presentations to senior management.
It's that last paragraph where she actually comes out and says, this is what happened. Facebook program, civic integrity. Boy, what a nice phrase.
So she was on 60 Minutes and she discussed the Facebook program as civic integrity, which has been intended to curb misinformation and other threats to election security. The program was dissolved in the 2020 elections. Yeah, I don't know if this is a great one. She got anybody who's a Facebook whistleblower get raked over the coals a lot, because which is sort of double-sided for what we're talking about, because it's sort of a double-sided center what we're talking about, and kind of goes into the Steelman that I'm about to talk about too, because boy, everyone hates a whistleblower. Everyone has these whistleblower laws and whistleblower rules, and HR says, oh, you get any ethical violations, come to us. But like our friend Bill Bado,
yeah, poor Bill.
Yeah, you see, you're just 8 days away from being quote excessive tardiness. Time to go. You can't be around here anymore. The Sarah Wynne Williams book, she got criticized a lot when she wrote the Sarah Wynne Williams book, Careless People. She got criticized a lot because a lot of people were saying, like, oh, you were there at Facebook for the good times and you took all their money and you didn't say anything bad until like life
later,
got bad for you. Yeah, later. Yeah. A lot of people accuse her of that. Yeah. Interesting. So let's, just for the purpose of the time, since I already dipped into the Steelman. Oh, man.
No, you have to do the cynic academic. And
since I already dipped into the Steelman, hey, without the, I really dipped in more into the academic side of the Steelman, right? Listen, we got legal protections for these people, and we've got hotlines, and this is what HR is there for, to catch these problems early and alert management and let them take care of things internally. Like that's the academic side of the Steelman, right? Obviously, the more cynical side, which I don't even really think's worth bringing up that much for our consideration here, is going to be the side that says, you've got to have consequences for dissent, otherwise you'll never get anyone to work together on a team. You're supposed to be a team guy, right?
Yeah. So these are
that's such a terrible point. Like,
it's a terrible point. I think between those two, it reminds me of organizations that have this like complaint box where you can put in anything anonymously, even, but if you did that anonymously, most of the time, somehow, it just gets ignored. But if they can trace who it is to get more details from you, now they pinpoint who you are and you're in the crosshair. And guess what? Find yourself clambering after that, right?
No.
Getting a dressing down.
Do you find yourself tardy after
that? You do. And, they give you an empty box and they say, thanks for coming.
So, listen, the academic side, okay? This is the one that I've seen the most. Like, listen, there's legal protections for these things. Were you saying it's not even worth considering? Okay, listen, this is why we have HR and we have these special hotlines.
We have laws. They say
that.
There's laws. The reality on the ground. What was that? Huggy, right? Word on the street. It's very different.
By the way, when you sign this severance agreement, you can either get health care and some money for the future, or you can challenge us in court. Right. That's it. It's either one or the other. Oh man. Oh, before we go to the other side of this, there's one thing I forgot that I need to bring up. We have an open door policy.
Yeah, that's right. Don't let that open door hit you on the way out. But yes.
I think you were the one that said, I'm never going to use the open door if it gets me closer to the revolving door.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. I have an open door, but that's going to get you closer to that, right? So,
that's right.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So many companies say this. And, yeah, unfortunately, the law and these kinds of company edicts aren't necessarily going to work in your favor if you have a whistle in your mouth.
I think what most people would say is that retaliation is rare in the good cultures and companies that are out there. And I also think there's another side of this discussion that we're probably going to table for this podcast. Maybe we'll deal with it on another one that I kind of have in mind about the larger your organization becomes, the easier this kind of activity is to shuttle away in corners and hide in corners of the organization and kind of get away with. Okay, that's one. The level, like the strategic level with this one, outcome-based systems, they can't tolerate truly transparent, truly accurate reporting. And the humans that disagree with what's being reported, those green status indicators on the red, amber, green reports, anyone that says like, I don't know about that number, that is that's a person singling themselves out at that point when you ask questions.
Yeah, I think that's true. Bigger organizations find it easier to sweep things under the rug and basically scapegoat people, right? So people in turn, when they see this as their kind of the old culture, they learn how to game these reports. That's why we have these watermelon reports. Everything's green at the team level. And then the team of teams level, everything's green still, right? It just keeps getting greener the higher it goes until somebody lifts the lid and it's all red, just like a watermelon. Green on the outside, red on the inside.
This is funny because like the Wells Fargo was famous for having a speak up culture. It said the quote speak up end quote. And then the Hagen testimony that we were referencing before, her opinion was that the Facebook was being led by the metrics, not led by people, and that the metrics become the decision maker, meaning that it doesn't matter what happens. They don't care about outcomes at all as long as they're achieving their metric. All things to think about in this category.
I think the corollary here is your organization's immune system is the people you're firing for excessive tardiness.
Sure. Yeah.
I think people watching and listening could kind of do some introspection and say, how are things really in our organization, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can, go from there.
There are some takeaways. Okay. I'm going to say, stop asking, why didn't anyone flag this when you see bad things happening? And you say, and you start asking, what happened to the last person who talked about it?
Instead of asking, why didn't anyone flag this? See if you can go talk to that person. Are they still there? But talk to them, right? Just say, how was your experience?
Well, those are the 3 points here, because point number 1 is, who was the last person on the team to raise a serious concern, and where are they now? Because in what you just said, they're probably gone. And then number 2 is, are dissent outcomes tracked the way that OKR outcomes are tracked? And
I'm willing to wage they're not.
Okay? I mean,
that's just me. But.
Yeah, but also, like, I've been in companies before where HR is judged by the amount of lawsuits that the company's engaged in at any one point. So I kind of think they are doing this. They are tracking number 2 here, but only in the worst way possible.
So it advantages the company, basically, right? And at the expense of employees who are essentially just pawns at that stage. Yeah. And
then, of course, the number 3 is the next person who flags a problem, when they look at their own career, do they decide the problem is worth talking about or not? I don't know how you track that, but everyone internally is thinking that.
You could poll their peer mentors, if they're around, and say, what advice did you give them, right? If you have that culture.
I'm guessing at this point, none, like, you're not even going to be anywhere to ask any of these questions.
Yeah.
This was a fun category. Sorry. Anyway, so what do you think? Have you ever seen someone get punished for raising a legitimate concern, or have you been punished yourself? What was the stated reason versus the real one? Comment below and let us know. I didn't mean to rhyme that, but okay. So the damage is invisible. The people who'd spot it are getting fired. I feel that's a good creative one, right? Tardiness.
I like it.
It's also super lazy, right? Tardiness. Yeah. Come on, man. You can't think of anything better. So the third part of this is what happens to the truth itself when you cascade outcomes down to the teams. So here's a scenario that might sound familiar. Sales says churn is down. Support says complaints are up. Product says engagement is steady. And finance says that the revenue is flat. Every team's dashboard is green. And
The world's a happy place, Brian.
The business is dying. Nobody can see it because everyone's outcome-based decomposition gave each team their own metric and structurally guaranteed that nobody is looking at the whole.
Well, it's a happy place. But
what do you know about the decline of Sears? That's what I want to start with.
So a lot of people think about Sears, the younger people, in case you didn't know about Sears, you look it up. A great company, Sears Roebuck, 139 years in business.
Sure.
So well before this Amazon thing became a reality.
And 139 years in business is 3,000 dog years. I think
exactly.
I put that in a ChatGPT. That's what it told me.
It's a great company, first of all, back when it was formed and for many, many decades thereafter. However, they did suffer an unfortunate demise. And a lot of people attribute that to the competition from the newcomers like Amazon and eBay, etc. That's an easy sweep. No, that's not really what actually happened. What actually happened is the company imploded from within, where the culture changed. And it was essentially, I guess, the CEO who had this edict where departments would compete with one another. It happened in the moment, they probably didn't even know, but it happened at the expense of neglecting the customer. I remember walking into the door at a Sears and you'd be greeted by somebody. Like you are today at places like Ace Hardware. What can I help you find, right? You can actually talk to somebody about the specific issue that you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
That used to be Sears, but then it changed. It changed to the point where you couldn't even find anybody to talk to. When you did find somebody, it was a hassle. It was a bother to them. And they would simply just say, go down the hall over there, make a left or a right, somebody will help you. Leave it alone. That's the impression I got. Customer care, customer concern was pretty much like it was waning and then it disappeared. So Sears died a sorry death. That's what happened to Sears. And nobody could believe it because it was such a huge, it's like the Titanic. Nobody could believe that the Titanic could sink. That happened to Sears. And then it happened to other organizations too. Kmart's another one that it happened to for slightly different reasons. But Sears, just to kind of cut my diatribe short, it was a behavior or phenomenon that was spawned from within by having this pseudo competition across departments.
So the main one, the Sears Holdings SOAR system case study, I would like to read a little snippet from this. It's the
Sears Holdings one.
It's a blog that I have that's heavily pulled from a book called The People's Republic of Walmart. I'm probably going to get this book and just read it to see if it's as fun as it sounds.
This guy reminds me of Al Dunlap. They brought him in for Sunbeam, and he just split the company into multiple pieces, sold every piece separately, and then walked away with his bounty into the sunset. Sailed away on his yacht, probably. I'm pretty sure Lampert didn't suffer as a result of his policies here.
A background on Lampert: he was the richest person in Connecticut in 2006 with a net worth of $3.8 billion. March 2012, Lampert was number 367 on the Forbes wealthiest people list. January 2013, it was announced that Lampert would take over as CEO of Sears. It took effect May 2013. So in 2013, he became CEO of Sears.
From 13 to 18, probably?
2013, yeah. It was 5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Lampert restructured Sears into approximately 30 separate business units. Okay, this is the part I want to get into. So I'm going to read from the article now. Lampert, libertarian and fan of laissez-faire. Let's just put it that way. He made his way from working in warehouses as a teenager. I don't believe anything this article says. He's worth billions of dollars. I don't believe someone in his 40s at $1 billion was kicking around warehouses as a teenager.
Had a rich dad, I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's well. That's what happened. Mm-hmm. The wonder kid hailed as Steve Jobs of the investment world. In 2003, he managed ESL Investments. It took over the bankrupt discount retail chain Kmart, launched in the same year as Walmart, and a year later he parlayed it into a $12 billion buyout of stagnating Sears. I see.
Own hedge fund?
Oh, no, here it is. After taking over Sears, yes, by the way. After taking over Sears, he radically restructured operations, splitting the company into 30 and later 40 different units that were to compete against each other Instead of cooperating in a normal firm, divisions such as apparel, tools, appliances, human resources, IT, and branding were now in essence to operate as autonomous businesses, each with their own president, board of directors, chief marketing officer, and P&L, profit or loss statements. An eye-popping 2013 series of interviews by Bloomberg, Businessweek, investigative journalist Mina Kimes, with some 40 former executives describe Lampert's Randian calculus. If a company's leaders were told to act selfishly, he argued, they would run their divisions in a rational manner, boosting overall performance. He also believed that the new structure called Sears Holdings Organization Actions and Responsibilities, aka SOAR, boy, that's where the real work was put in at that company.
They probably paid a consultant a lot of money with that four-letter acronym.
He thought that they would improve the internal quality of data, and he thought it would give the company an edge, like the Oakland Athletics guy from Moneyball, like that kind of thing. To cut you to the end of the story, and also to get back on track, because I could read about this all day and do a podcast just on. Because like when you were explaining Sears, I had a whole different narrative in my head. A lot of people were Amazon moved in the market and was taken over, and Walmart was taking over everyone, and the Kmart has already failed, and that's what everyone thinks.
Right.
But like this guy came in and is like, oh, we're not going to cooperate with each other. We're going to all have our own different OKRs, and we're not going to talk to each other. We're only going to compete because free market competition is the only way to go.
Yeah, Sears unfortunately did anything but soar.
Took him 5 years.
At the time,
took him 5 years. What did you say? 100 and how many years? Sears
took him 5. It took him 5 years to sink. So at the time, it's easy for people to go into the fallacy of like, Amazon came on the scene, right? But it's not the same. You're not doing a like for like. Sears had been a brick and mortar shop for years, and their forte was to help people that walked in the door. Amazon didn't have a brick and mortar, right? Past the initial, like the book thing.
Yeah,
right?
Which is also wild. Of course, people will defend this because they'll get ideological and defend this.
Right.
Like, well, on premise, he just wasn't holding it right. Like that. That's since I'm talking about Steelman, let's go straight into the Steelman. Like,
sure.
Where is he? He wasn't holding it right. It's got to be in here somewhere. It's a communication problem, not a goals problem. That's the practitioner. He's not holding it. That's what it was. And also it kind of overlaps with the academic who's going to say cross-functional reviews and OKR cascades solve this kind of fragmentation. Multiple departments should have just been on the same. They should have been reverse waterfalling to the same OKR.
Is that a waterfall going up?
That's right. It's a waterfall going up.
I've never seen it, but yes, that's why it comes from the
And then the most cynical take here is without fragmentation, like no individual manager can be accountable. You've got to have some kind of fragmentation. Otherwise, it all rolls back up to that person in the executive team that set the OKR, and then nobody else, everyone else can say like, hey, not my problem. I never agreed to this goal.
That's right. I didn't set the OKRs in the first place. Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
Oh, by the way, all bad takes. All these seek to undermine what Lampert was doing. Everyone's going to compete with each other. No one's going to cooperate. Everything's going to be a struggle. Like, we're all going to deal with each other in bad faith and basically destroy everybody has their own metrics and nobody's paying attention to the whole.
Which all of that is, I would like to believe, completely against the initial mission that Sears was founded on. I don't believe their mission was we're going to grow this big and then fragment the company and have them all compete with each other. This is not the only time we've seen this, right? I don't want to sidetrack us, but there are other companies that fell through the same sort of, I don't know, vortex.
Are you sure? I can't convince you. You're just not holding it right. You just didn't prompt hard enough, bro.
That's the easiest way, yeah. Prompt harder, exactly.
Prompt harder. Listen, we're all going to have our own P&Ls. Like that was until I heard that. I was like, well, we're all going to have our own P&Ls and they're disconnected from anyone else's P&Ls. That's how we're going to do this.
Imagine those poor department heads trying to vie for funding, right?
I don't think they were poor at all. I think they all got paid.
Oh, they all did fine.
They all hit their bonuses.
They all did fine.
They all manipulated the numbers.
Most of all, Mr. Lambert did not hurt at the end of this.
I think he was fine. I think he's swimming in his billions like Scrooge McDuck. I think he's just fine. The one thing I want to point out, the sum of all the green dashboards across all those 30, 40 departments, none of it represented the business's health. That's the funny thing here.
Everybody said, no, there's no iceberg, full steam ahead.
That's right.
That's what they said. Until The next cry was, oh dear, women and children first.
That's right. Except for you band members, keep playing.
Yeah, that's right. Keep playing and sync with the shit.
What is there anything we can do here? Is this all fatalistic here?
No,
Okay.
it's not.
All
Right. So first of all, the takeaways. I think the takeaways are solid here. Review team level OKRs. Come on, that never works. We know that.
So stop reviewing your team level OKRs in isolation.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and review against each other for the contradictions rather than the alignments. So that way you can see where the fracture points are, and hopefully together you can overcome those before they sink you.
Okay.
So that's a solid takeaway, I think, in this one.
So the questions are just questions to ask in pursuit of those two things.
Yeah.
Is there any way that all these green metrics that we have can all be true at the same time and the business still is struggling? Number one. The second one is, what's the one metric from another team's dashboard that if it went red, it would mean that your metric becomes meaningless, or whatever, your dashboard, whatever it is. And then who owns the gap between, when these things don't align or when they directly conflict, more importantly? Who owns that? Because again, the Lampert example, he was washing his hands and said, free market, bro.
Yeah, he'd be like, well, sort it out amongst yourselves.
I think he would be like, I'm rich anyway, so I don't really care.
I think these questions are solid. I don't know if we want to do a quick pass through them. Is there any way all of these green metrics can be true and also the business is sinking? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. We know that, because otherwise we wouldn't have these anecdotes of companies that died. It's the one metric from another team's dashboard if it went red. So this is, I think, solid ground for looking at dependencies, right? And seeing that another team's dependency on your team, even though your team is doing great, it makes your team red because you have not fulfilled this dependency that they have upon you, right? This is that, what's it called? They have a consuming dependency on you, and you have a providing dependency on them.
Right.
So either way. So I think that's one that you could look at here. And the last one, who owns the gap between two teams' truths when the truths conflict? Both do, right? And if nobody does, then you're doomed. So if both do, you can talk to one another and say, how is it that we're doing great, but overall the company's not, but between the two teams we're not? What can we do?
I think what if Ed Lampert comes in and owns it? Like he's like the special guest referee in the WWE. Where like if we both agree we meet and nobody owns the metric, he just comes in, he tags in, he's a special mystery guest. What if we can do that? Do that?
Good grief.
He can come in with his billions like Scrooge McDuck and just solve the. Listen, I'm for it. All right, let's what do you think though? I don't want to talk about Scrooge McDuck all night. That's not true. I do. But what do you think? Have you ever been in an org where every team's metrics looked great, but the business was clearly in trouble? Let us know what was on fire in the comments. Let us know if the comments are on fire.
How you escaped that fire.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, hopefully you used the build trap. I don't know. That might have been a callback to our previous.
That's right.
Previous episode. So we agreed. The damage is invisible. Let me cut over to the next category. So we agreed. The damage is invisible. The whistleblowers, they get destroyed, and the truth fragments across teams. So here's a part that should make every PM
a little warm under the collar.
Around the collar, maybe.
Yeah.
Around the belt. I don't know. Someone they should take antibiotics for that. Someone figured all of this out years before OKRs existed, and they even wrote at least 2 books on the subject. And then the industry said, no thanks. We got this. Don't worry about it.
We got this. You're tardy.
That's right. Okay, so let's bring it back. Let's bring this podcast back to somebody who saw all this coming home. Our friend, W. Edwards Deming. Like, he's one of the most cited but least followed thinkers in management history.
Yep.
That was before thought leaders were a thing. He should have tried starting an Instagram, is what I'm saying. He should have. It's 1986.
In 1986, right.
1986, he published the 14 Points for Management. Point 11B says, can eliminate management by objective, eliminate management by numbers, numerical goals, substitute leadership. said it like Deming. So, sorry, can't do Deming.
You have a pipe in your mouth.
That was 40 years ago, and the tech industry responded, by inventing OKRs or vibes.
I gotta say, when he came up with this, management by objectives or MBO was the new thing back then.
Yeah.
Everybody just simply went to that. Clear, quantifiable objectives, and that's how you managed. And he went completely contrarian against that. But since then, we've kind of, I guess, been circling the drain and came up with all sorts of things, right? And the latest thing is OKRs, and they're not that new either, but that's what's still prevalent out there. Objectives and key results.
So you're gonna get two pieces of pushback right away. I'm gonna throw them out right away because that one of them is not great, and the other one is interesting to talk about. Okay, the one that's not great, I'm gonna throw out right away. Say, Deming was post-war, and it was a whole different world, and he was in manufacturing, and none of that applies to knowledge work because we're all about ambiguity, solving ambiguity, and creativity, and rapid change, and factory floors didn't really do that. I understand that's terrible. Yeah, right.
I shouldn't even spend time on that because I can knock that one out all day.
Okay, so the other one says most OKRs are not done well. Right, so it's sort of you're holding it wrong, the problem, but most OKRs aren't done. But Deming would not have pushed back against OKRs specifically. Deming was saying, by what method are you going to do this? So OKRs, when they're done well, they also specify the method, and Deming would not have had a problem with that.
Right.
The proper way that OKRs are supposed to be done, Deming wouldn't have had a problem with it. And then what his the numerical goals, all that kind of stuff, like throw that out. Just do leadership and you'll be fine. But he would have been okay with OKRs. That's the more nuanced, better conversation to have. And I thought I'd throw that one out. It directly leads into the Steelman, but the practitioner here, targets without method are the real problem. Good OKRs include the method. So the again, I'm just showing the Steelman points up here to bring the receipts to this conversation to say, like, there's a lot of people talking nonsense, but there is a good conversation here to have. Which is, just include the method as well.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is incomplete without the method. For me, most of it is theoretical if you don't have the method. Yeah. Because then what happens is whatever the outcomes are, however good or bad they are, you can justify it because you don't have a method anyway, right? But if you had a method, you can stand behind that and you can either defend or lead with your method. Deming wouldn't have had a problem with that. I have to believe that. Sure. But out there in the industry right now, how many OKRs do you see in companies that basically are just one-line statements without any method? Oh,
I thought you were going to say how many companies are out there with OKRs that are doing it right, and then I would stop you right there. And
that's the same thing.
I would have said no, done.
Same thing.
And
without
then
method.
Then you're going to say the original OKR. What's the guy with the book?
John Doerr.
Yeah. Like first of all, you'd have to append his OKR system to include Deming's method. You'd have to extend OKRs first to solve it. So now, how many companies are out there that understand that OKRs are problematic because they don't include method by default and have extended it and are doing them right? Listen, I love like chasing windmills, next guy. But I'm not even putting a second into thinking about this, that theoretical, because I like the Steelman on this one. Sure, it might be theoretically possible somewhere in time at some point at one company. I've never seen it or heard about it or seen evidence of it or accidentally tripped over it. Never seen it. Never.
Yeah, I'd have to concur with that. It's very rare to see OKRs actually pan out the way they're supposed to.
Anybody that wants to write me in the comments, tell me I'm wrong about this one. I'm completely ready to say, yeah, I understand it's not right, but this is the only way I've ever seen the OKRs rolled out. Is another tool of project management redesigned into another, So yeah, as you know, many times on the podcast that I will fly this flag and die on this hill. But it's just because I've never seen them. If the argument is you're not holding it right or you're just not prompting hard enough,
let us know by all means. I mean, I'm willing to be educated.
The alternative to outcome-based management. It's not output-based management because that's what people are going to say.
We know that doesn't work.
That's what people will say is like, do instead of OKRs, Brian, you want to do output-based management?
Heck no.
But it's like you're throwing a fallacy at me where I got to pick one, a binary fallacy where I got to pick one or the other. That's not. I just want a system that works. That's what I'm asking for. A system that works. And to bring us back to the point here, Deming asked, substitute leadership. I'm asking for some leadership. Help me help you. Sorry, I tried to be as cliche as possible with that one.
It worked.
Did I nail it? I feel I nailed it. When someone says OKRs done well include a method, you have to ask them to show you one. Hey, yeah, I understand you're saying, oh, we do OKRs. We have methods in our OKRs here at our company. Great. Show me one that was successful. Walk me through it, please. And then
to be disappointed.
Then 8 days later, you'll be tardy to work, regardless if you were tardy or not.
Exactly.
Oh boy.
So, if your company, if you are using OKRs and you think they're working great, we'd love to hear from you.
So I guess if you're gonna take this a bit more seriously, like the Deming's diagnosis of numerical management. Okay, he was saying management by numerical goal. That's an attempt to manage without the knowledge of actually doing the job. Because he was big pushing against, like, all the managers now are all college educated, have never done the job, and they come into the factories and the plants and they've never done the job. Whereas like the Toyota production system, they're promoting people that work the lines and then they move up to the next logical. So it's like a stair step of promotion. Whereas somebody doesn't start managing until they've been there, X number of years, whatever, 20 years working the line, that kind of case. Whereas in America, they bring in the boss's cousin or the recent college graduate, the guy with his MBA or whatever, and they put him in the management position, but he's never done the job.
Right.
So he's trying to set goals for people doing a job that he has never done, doesn't, and arguably has no expertise in.
His thinking is almost in the abstract at that point, because he can't think through all the eventualities,
right?
Not having actually been on the shop floor, so to speak.
Right. So we did 2 podcasts on this, so I'm not going to keep hammering Deming, because you can go watch Arguing Agile 181 or Arguing Agile 199. Both were Deming podcasts. Let me go look at the names. Of
grab lots of coffee.
Arguing Agile 181 from September 11th, 2024. It was titled Deming's 14 Points, the Management Revolution We Needed 40 Years Ago. That's a good title. And then Arguing Agile 199, W. Edwards Deming's Profound Knowledge for Transforming Organizations, from January 22nd, 2025. Those 2 podcasts together, they can hold you over until you get to the point where you read the Deming books, and then you can be on the path yourself. So speaking of the path to Deming, I have a takeaway here. I have 2 questions. You can stop asking, what number do we want to hit? And you can start asking, do we understand the system well enough to know what optimizing for this number will do? You can still set the numbers.
Sure.
You can still continue doing what I just said stop doing, but ask the second question first.
And I'd like to just double click and ask another question at the end of the second question. That is, what would happen if we didn't make that number instead, right? What does it mean to actually miss that target?
Oh no, the sun's still going to rise tomorrow. Oh no, I just spoiled it for you. I just spoiled your answer.
It's worth talking about that, because a lot of people get hung up on the number,
sure
right?
Do.
So yeah.
Well, before setting any numerical targets, let's ask, do we understand the system well enough to know what will happen when we optimize for this number? Or even, what's a realistic thing when we miss this? I've been on a lot of software projects where we miss the number and the world just keeps going anyway. We just keep extending the deadline and nothing happens. And that's this. Hey, listen, all these numbers are made up anyway. You start getting a bad taste in your mouth for project management as a discipline when all the numbers are made up because of stress and other things. But and I know there's some people listening to this podcast and say, oh, Brian, some numbers are real. Some numbers have real deadlines. If we miss them, we got heavy penalties, or maybe the money runs out or other things, right? And yes, that's a real thing. But I'm just pointing this out to say the number of times I've had these artificial numbers where when we miss it, nothing happens, versus we run out of money and we have to start laying people off, which has happened too.
Sure.
But the number of times where somebody just made something up and we blow past it like nothing happened, light years. I mean, I'm talking
manyfold.
10x.
Yeah. There could also be regulatory requirements you have to hit by a deadline, etc. You just work to that, right?
Sure.
So there's an answer, but what's out there is leadership management mostly. Putting dates in front of you because they know the real dates out here. Same thing with budgets, right? You miss a deadline and then they always told you there's no more money.
Yeah.
but they always go back to the well and find some. Life continues.
Oh my goodness.
Almost always.
The other suggestions here, try to replace hit this number with improve this system how, in a certain way. And then of course, suggestion which never goes out of style is just read Deming. Out of the Crisis and The New Economics are both good books. Quick books to read. They're both available. You can definitely get The New Economics on audiobook. I don't know about I think Out of the Crisis is not available.
It's not.
But that's okay. The New Economics covers everything that Out of the Crisis covers.
Yeah.
Out of the Crisis was done earlier. You read The Goal, you read The New Economics, you read The Lean Startup. You read those things, you're basically understanding all of modern business at that
Those
point.
are great suggestions. Those 3 books by themselves will get you a long way forward.
All right. Let's wrap this podcast here. So what do you think? Is Deming outdated or irrelevant because it's just for manufacturing? Has nothing to do with us. Or did we never actually listen to him? Let us know in the comments and tell us which of his 14 points hurts you the most. That's what I'm asking.
And if you'd like us to do yet another podcast on Deming, or for that matter, on Sears, the demise of Sears, we're happy to at least consider those.
That's right. So we started with the claim that the system is designed so you can't tell when you need guardrails. So here's what the episode showed. The damage is invisible by design. The people who notice get removed first by design, and the truth fragments as you split it across the organization in different dashboards, again by design. And Deming outlined all this in 1986.
If we'd only listened.
So let's bring this to a close. So after working through the Sears debacle and the Wells Fargo whistleblower firing and talking about Deming and reading through his actual words on this podcast, so are you walking away softer on OKRs, harder on them, somewhere in between?
Oh, definitely harder on them. Also, not going to bring out my whistle anytime soon either. So that's where I sit.
You're never gonna give you up and never gonna let you down.
That's right, exactly.
What you're gonna do? All right. That's the end of part 2. So
that's the end of part two. Yeah, and let us know what you think. How this landed with you. If you have OKRs that work for you, we'd love to hear from you. If you have OKRs that don't work for you, we'd love to hear from you. And let us know other topics you'd like us to delve into. Before you go, like and subscribe.